بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. We've reached line الثالث عشر, line number 13, in which the author rahimahullah ta'ala is speaking on a new type of hadith or new specimen of hadith science that pertains to one of the conditions of a hadith sahih. And that condition of the hadith sahih is that which is called al-ittisal, the continuous chain or the connected chain, the consistent chain. And when there is a breach or an infringement upon that condition, he says, mu'an'anun ka'an sa'idin an karam wa mubhamun ma fihi rawan lam yusam. He says, mu'an'anun. Line 13 involves two new types. The first half is that which is called al-isnad al-mu'an'an. Al-isnad al-mu'an'an. With a double ayn. An, ayn, noon, ayn, noon. Mu'an'an. Or one could say an'ana. Ayn, noon, an, ana. Ainun ta, an, ana. Which basically means you report from someone who's normally your teacher, that you did hear from, you did learn from, but you don't say to your student or to your pupil, Brother Munir told me, I heard from Brother Munir, I saw Brother Munir. But you just said, Brother Munir said. Brother Munir did. It's reported. It came from Brother Munir. Which proves nothing. It doesn't prove that it's direct or indirect. Maybe you heard it from me and saw me directly. Or maybe you got it from a middleman or middlewoman. It's vague, muhima. It's dubious. So this is a problem. Whereas one of the conditions for the hadith sahih is that it has to have a chain which is muttasil, connected. And how do we know if the chain is connected if someone is using some vague terminology like this? Clear? If someone says, haddathani, he related to me. Sami'tu, I heard. And the person didn't, then obviously that person is not a liar. But that's not what we're discussing. We're dealing with someone who's trustworthy. I heard Brother Munir say. Clear. Brother Munir said. There's no guarantee that you heard it directly from me or indirectly from me. It leaves the listener, unsure. So when the isnad comes, it says haddathana fulan, akhbarana fulan, akhbarani fulan, sami'tu fulan, I heard fulan told us, fulan reported to me. That's all a tasrihu bis sama'. You're clearly stating that you heard it and you got it from someone. But here it says an Sa'id an Karam. Everybody clear on this or not? There's a narration from Nasra, from Huda, from Hilal. Did I hear from Nasra? I didn't say that. Is there nistaha between me and Nasra? I didn't say that either. It's vague. It's not the same as Nasra told me. I heard Nasra saying. Nasra reported to me. Here's an, from Nasra. From. Could be someone else between me and you. Person could be a liar, trustworthy, unknown, etc. Everybody understand this? And this is ana. As many people teach incorrectly, ana is not tadlis. Tadlis shay, ana shay. When a mudallis does ana, different story. But just because it's ana does not mean that it's what? Tadlis. which we'll explain what tadlis is inshallah ta'ala. أرجو أن يكون هذا الكلام إن شاء الله واضحا، لأن فائدة مهمة جدا. العنعنة لا يلزم منها تدليس، لا يلزم من العنعنة تدليس أبدا، وهذا خطأ. قد تقرأين في كتاب من الكتب المشهورة المعاصرة وفيه فلان وقد عنعن، وفيه الحسن البصري وهو مدلس وقد عنعن، هذا غلط. لا يلزم من العنعنة أنه فعلا دلس في هذا الإسناد. انتبه، هذا الكلام هذا ليس فيه تحرير. العنعنة شيء والتدليس شيء آخر. طيب, so that's what the عنعنة is. Obviously, عن سعيد and Karam, two names as examples. Then he says, ومبهم ما فيه راو لم يسم. And a mubham is when there's a chain of narration or an actual metin in which there's someone whose name isn't mentioned. His name is not mentioned, whether it's in the isnad or whether it's in the metin. Obviously, the isnad being the chain of report, one can say, حدثني رجل, a man told me. حدثني امرأة, a woman told me. عن مولاة لنا, a slave girl told me. Mawla, a slave, a young slave or a young servant told me, or reported from this person, or a trustworthy person, thiqa, whatever the case may be. The person's name isn't mentioned in the sciences of hadith. This is called mubham, al-mubham, al-mubham. We don't know who the person is. A great man told me from Nasra, from Huda, from Hilal. Who's this great man? What is his status? Is he trustworthy? Does he have adala? Does he have dabt? We don't know. So it's called mubham. So conversely, the hadith would be weak. Because one of the conditions of the hadith sahih is that the person has to be trustworthy, has to be reliable, has to be religious. How can someone be trustworthy, reliable, and religious if we don't even know who they are?
The unknown person is anywhere in the Islam.
Anywhere. But obviously, if it's a companion, then it's not a problem. If a person, a trustworthy tabi'i says, one of the companions told me, I met a man who was with the Prophet ﷺ for 7 years. I met someone who was from the companions of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. There's nothing wrong with that. Because all of the Sahaba are trustworthy and reliable. As far as the tabi'i, etc., then no. Also, we may have mubham in the matin. جاء رجل إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. جاءت امرأة إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أن امرأة جاءت. A woman came, she said, "O Messenger of Allah." She says, "My baby, I used to give him breast milk. He used to live in my stomach. He used to sit on my lap. And then the father has divorced me and he wants to take the child from me." The woman's name isn't mentioned in the specific report in Sunan Abi Dawood, so that woman is called, she's mubham. Her name isn't mentioned. Obviously, the authenticity of the hadith doesn't rely on who she is, but it's still part of the science to know exactly who the person is. And you read, for example, in Fath al-Bari, Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَلَمْ أَقِفْ عَلَى اسْمِ هَذِهِ الْمَرْأَةِ فِي شَيْءٍ مِنَ الطُّرُقِ التي وقفت عليها. فهمت أم لا? Ibn Hajar, he'll say, making the sharh of a hadith, whether it's in Bukhari or outside of Bukhari, and he'll say, وَلَمْ يَقَعْ لِي وَلَمْ أَقِفْ على اسم هذا السائل على اسم هذا الرجل في شيء من الطرق. أنه نظر في طرق الحديث وبحث وجمعها لم يقف على تصريحه بالسماع. لأنه قد يأتي مبهما في سنن أبي داود ويكون قد ذكر اسمه في مسند أحمد أو في صحيح أبي عوانة أو في مسند الدارمي أو في جامع الترمذي أو هذا اسمه جمع الطرق. الحديث الواحد له عدة ألفاظ وعدة روايات وعدة طرق. فهمت الآن؟ الباب إن لم تجمع طرقه لم يتبين خطأه. جمع الطرق. فهمت? So a person's name might not be mentioned in one book, but it may be mentioned in another book, another report, another version. Cross-examination, corroboration. They gather all of the witnesses. That's al-mubham, and that's why that type of narration is not authentic. Moving forward. وَكُلُّ مَا قَلَّتْ رِجَالُهُ عَلَى وَضِدُّهُ ذَاكَ الَّذِي قَدْ نَزَلَ. Line 14 talks about al-isnad al-ali and al-isnad al-nazil, which we explained last night in the dars. We explained last night in the dars what the sanad ali and the sanad nazil is, so there's no need to repeat that again here. We explained that last night. The sanad ali and the sanad nazil. Ali having a chain. We have one hadith with two isnads, and one is shorter than the other, one is longer than the other. The shorter one is called ali, and the longer one is called nazil. The fa'idah of this is the beauty of traveling and cutting out the middleman, shortening the number of intermediaries. Instead of staying in Baghdad, Imam Ahmad traveled to Yemen to meet Abdul Razak personally, in which he cut out people out of the Senate. To sacrifice to get a shorter chain. Less chain means you're closer to the Prophet ﷺ. There's less people that you have to worry about being weak, being this, being that. It's a closer, cleaner, leaner cut. It's like a piece of steak. It's lean now. No fat, no bone, nothing. Everybody clear on this? You cut out the other things. You sacrifice. And obviously it's going to cost you a bit more money to have boneless and skinless chicken breasts. Costs more. But it's healthier for you. It's better for you. Everybody understand this? So the Sanad Ali is you traveling to remove an intermediary or a middleman. Like we said last night. Your mother told you something from your great-grandfather. So I'm going to travel past my mother, past my grandfather, wahakada, and go and cut out the people. Everybody clear on this? As we explained last night. Wadih, is everybody clear on this? Everybody got this? Okay. وما أضفته إلى أصحابي من قول وفعل فهو موقوف زك. Line 15 really should be, one may say, obviously it's his book, but one may say that this line 15 should have come a long time ago. Speaking on what line? We talk about, that which is attributed to the Prophet for maqtu'. So when he spoke about marfu' and maqtu', it would have made more sense to put the mawquf there and put the mawquf before the maqtu'. But once again, it's a poem. And even besides that, hatta walau, he still could have put it in one place in a poem. Al-Muhim, this goes to show you. Everybody clear on this? So whenever we have a sahabi's opinion, a sahabi's fatwa, or a sahabi's description, this is what Umar used to look like. Uthman used to dye his beard like that. Ali was strong like this. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was thin like that. He dyed his hair like this. Umar was ambidextrous. He used both of his hands, left and right, etc. It's called mawquf. Al-khabar al-mawquf. Al-hadith al-mawquf. Al-athar al-mawquf. The fa'idah of the athar al-mawquf, we explained some of it yesterday. Now, the concept of the statement of a companion, is it a hujjah or not? It's a very long discussion, and it's one of the issues in which different sciences overlap. Usul al-fiqh and ilm al-hadith. Is a sahabi's view a dalil or not? Umar radiallahu anhu said, or supposedly have said, if a woman's husband gets lost, then she has to wait for several years. One narration, if my memory serves me correctly, says 10 years. She has to wait before she can remarry. Is that a hujjah? A dalil that a woman has to stick to? Or is that the ijtihad of Umar radiallahu anhu, which could be right, could be wrong, could be for a time, could be for a place. He was the leader at the time, that was his decision. Or is that something which is now mandatory and obligatory? Everybody clear on this or not? Ali radiallahu anhu saw the people sitting and they were playing shitranj. They were playing chess. Supposedly playing chess. And he says, Ma hadhihi la, what are these what? tamathil antum laha akifun. What are these idols that you're worshiping? So now it's haram to play chess because of Ali's statement. But we don't have a statement of the Prophet ﷺ. Is the statement of the companion a hujjah or not? Aisha radiallahu anha. طيب خير ماشي. That's more than enough for now. Many issues in which their views of the Sahaba, actions of the Sahaba, without no delay from the Prophet. Do we say that it's not obligatory to do it like this? Or permissible to do it like that? Or recommended? This is one of the fawaid of having a mawquf, as knowing the fahm of the Sahaba, and the implementation of the Sahaba, and the ijtihad of the Sahaba, and the madhahib of the Sahaba, regardless whether it's a hujjah or not. Huh? This is the AC one?
Yeah.
Please. طيب. So mawquf, that's what al-mawquf is. Obviously, al-mawquf is not going to have the same strength as marfu', but we just explained some of the benefits of having the books that give us and teach us the athar mawqufa. Naam? And there are many places to find those athar mawqufa, such as Tafsir al-Tabari, or Sunan al-Kubra of Bayhaqi, or Musannaf Abdul Razak, or Ibn Abi Shayba, Sunan Sa'id al-Mansur, وهكذا. These are all mawarid wa madhan al-athar al-manqufa. And they're very important. And not just for fiqh. It can be for tafsir. Where would the books of tafsir be without athar al-manqufa? Adab, akhlaq, all types of things. Also, what is the obligation of authenticating these athar? Can we use an athar as daif? Or does it have to be authentic? طيب, moving forward. He says, وَمَا أَضَفْتُ إِلَى الْأَصْحَابِ مِنْ قَوْلٍ وَفِعْلٍ فَهُوَ مَنْقُوفٌ زُكٍ يعني عُرِفَ وَعُلِمَ. طيب. Line 16. وَمُرْسَلٌ مِنْهُ الصَّحَابِيُّ سَقَطْ وَقَلْ غَرِيبٌ مَا رَوَى رَاوٍ فَقَطْ. The next نوع من أنواع علوم الحديث is al-hadith al-mursal. Al-hadith al-mursal, which you'll hear all of the time. And one of the most popular terms. And that is because of the domination of fiqh, as we explained, and the madaris and the madhahib fiqhiyah. And the people have to use proofs and evidences. And they oftentimes use a hadith which are mursala. It's mursal. You read Ibn Kathir, you read in this fiqh book or this fiqh class, you hear mursal. The Hanafi's hadith is mursal. Malik's hadith is mursal. Shafi'i said you can't use a mursal hadith. It has to be muttasil, etc. So therefore, what is mursal? أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ. Allah says, أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا. إرسال يعني أطلقنا عليهم is to release something. To release something. طيب. Mursal means something in which is mutlaq or something which is mustajal. It's been hastened and rushed. Linguistically. The author, he says, minhu sahabiyyu saqat. He says when the companion is missing. When the sahabi is missing, that's the mursal. When the companion is missing. So we have an isnad in which Imam Bukhari narrates from his teacher, from his teacher's teacher, who narrates from the tabi'i, and he says, قال Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Tawus narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said and said and said. And the one that's missing is Mu'adh ibn Jabal, according to this definition. According to that definition, it wouldn't be a problem. Because if we know that Mu'adh is the only one that's missing, la mushkil. Mu'adh is Sahabi, trustworthy, class. If we knew that it's only the companion that's missing. But obviously that is still problematic. Because that's not the case. The Mursal Hadith is not the Hadith in which just the Sahabi is missing. And if that was the case, then the Mursal Hadith wouldn't be considered to be weak. Because the companion is trustworthy. If we knew it was only the companion. The reason why the Mursal Hadith is considered to be weak and unaccepted is because we aren't sure whether it's the Sahabi that's just missing or a Sahabi and another Tabi'i. It could just be one or it could be two. Everybody understand this? The Tabi'i, the student of the companion, the students of the companions, oftentimes they narrate it from other Tabi'in. Just like you narrate from your classmate. And it's not all directly from me. Sometimes I wasn't there. I stepped out to cut off the AC. Maryama told me. Maryama is weak. She's a liar. She's this. She's unknown. She's an innovator. So now it's a problem. Everybody clear on this?
How would you recognize that? What's the difference between that and just the unknown Sahaba? Like, how would you know if it's just the Sahaba's unknown?
That's the problem. That is the problem. As long as that possibility is there, that's the problem.
So Mubham?
Mubham is different. Mubham has nothing to do with that. Mubham is someone's name not being mentioned, but the personality is still there. If I say a companion told me, that's Mubham. Because the name of the companion isn't mentioned, but a person is clearly stating that that is a...
So this would be a tabi'i saying the Prophet said?
Yes. And the Sahabi's name isn't mentioned at all, or his personality. Tawus, tabi'i, he says, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said and did. This battle was fought. This verse was sent down pertaining to this. Clear? And of course, there are different types of details pertaining to the Mursal Hadith. Is it a proof? Is it not a proof? What about the Tabi'een who are known for taking from the Sahaba? Aren't the chances pretty high that the one missing is only a Sahabi? The Kibar, Tabi'een, etc. These are all tafsilat. We can't mention them right now in this quick, concentrated workshop on this basic level. Those are for Ba'dain. Khairan, inshallah. He says, the second half, وَقُلْ غَرِيبٌ مَا رَوَى رَاوٍ فَقَط. The next note is that which is called Al-Hadith Al-Gharib. Al-Hadith Al-Gharib. Al-Hadith Al-Gharib. And Al-Hadith Al-Gharib is simple and plain. مَا رَوَى رَاوٍ فَقَط. Is a hadith that's only reported by one narrator. Whether it's through the beginning to the end of the chain, or whether it is in one level, one link, one what? Tabaqa. Khairan, inshallah. Is a hadith gharib da'if? Not necessarily. It can be authentic, or it could be weak, depending on the conditions of hadith sahih. Is it a red flag, or is it a means of caution and extra attention when there's gharib? According to some ulama, no question about that. Especially if it's a famous teacher that has hundreds of students. Everybody clear on this? Khairan, inshallah. Number 17. وَكُلُّ مَا لَمْ يَتَّصِلْ بِحَالِ إِسْنَادُهُ مُنْقَطِعُ الْأَوْصَالِ وَالْمُعْضَلُ السَّاقِطُ مِنْهُ اثْنَانِ وَمَا أَتَى مُدَلَّسًا نَوْعَانِ. Line 17 and line 18 is going back to al-ittisal, as connection of the chain once more. And the other or further problems that can exist with a chain being disrupted, a chain not being connected. The first is that which is called al-munqati', like qata'a, cut off. So munqati' is the hadith which is cut, any place of the chain. In the beginning, the end, doesn't matter. With the condition that it isn't done consecutively or concurrently. Or not even concurrently. It isn't done what? Back to back. Huh? It isn't something in which there are two narrators missing at the same time. A chunk, two links missing. It's just one. And then it's connected, and then another one is missing. Or just one in one place. Everybody understand this? The word inqita' is the general meaning of breakage. Inconsistency. Everybody clear on this? Mursal is also considered to be munqata'. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody clear? Excuse me. He says, وَكُلُّ مَا لَمْ يَتَصِلْ بِحَالِهِ. Any situation, any place, then it is منقطع الأوصال, وصل, link. طيب. He says, وَالْمُعْضِلُ السَّاقِطُ مِنْهُ اثْنَانِ. And another type is that which is called al-hadith al-mu'dal. Al-hadith al-mu'dal. And hadith al-mu'dal is the hadith in which it isn't one person that's missing, but there's one and then two. Back to back. So hypothetically speaking, you narrate it from your great-grandfather. How many generations are missing? Two. What are those generations? Father and your grandfather. If you narrate it just from your grandfather and your father was missing, that would be munqati'. That would be what? Munqati'. Everybody clear on this or not? So for example, it is you narrating from your father, from your grandfather, from your great-grandfather, from his father. Great. So, you didn't hear it from your grandfather. Okay? You never met your grandfather, died before you were old enough or even born. So your father is missing out the chain. So that's inqita', right? And then your grandfather didn't hear it from his. And he narrated from his grandfather. So now in the isnad is double what? Munqati', but it's not back to back. And the mu'dal would be if it was what? 1, 2. If you jumped right to your grandfather or great-grandfather. Everybody understand this? Then obviously, if you met your grandfather and met your great-grandfather and studied with them and you traveled at a young age, then there's no inqita'. If you had a Sanad Ali, I didn't have to hear from my father because I was 7 and I traveled. I started seeking knowledge at a young age. It's a difference. But if that person was dead and you were only 2 years old, different story. Your grandfather was in a coma when you were 3. When you reached the age of 10 years, your grandfather had brain cancer. He couldn't talk. He was in a coma for 3 months before he died. So how did you hear from him? How were you of the age of hearing something from him? That has to be proven through historical documentation. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody clear on this? Tayyib. And obviously both of those types of hadith are considered to be weak. Why?
Because there's no way to verify.
Nope. No need to think. Because they do not fulfill the conditions of hadith sahih. It's that simple, huh? Is that what? It's that simple. Try it. He then says in the second half of line 18, وَمَا أَتَى مُدَلَّسًا نَوْعَانِ. And the hadith which is mudallas, not mudallis with a kasra, with a fatha. Mudallas is of two types. is of two types. Mudallas is of two types. Line 19 and line 20, he says, الأول الإسقاط للشيخ وأن ينقل عمن فوقه بعن وأن والثاني لا يسقطه ولكن يصف أو لكن يصف إسناده بما به لا ينعرف. يا رب. He says, Al-Awwal, the first type of tadlis, and the word tadlis comes from dalas, which means ikhfa' al-aib. Is when you're selling something to cover up something that's wrong, or a blemish, or a default, or a defect. I have a crack in this china. I paint it over. Or I have it on display in which you can't see the side that has the crack. Or the watch has a hairline crack in it, and I put some white out on it. Or I have it in the sun or an angle in which you really can't see it. Or they say ikhtilat is when the light and the darkness is mixed during the day and during the night. In hadith science, there's different types of tadlis. The first is al-isqatu lish-shaykhi wa an yanqula amman fawqahu bi'an wa an. It's for a person to do what? Remove someone. Take someone out of the chain of narration and report from the one who's above him. Not even mention the person at all. Take him out the chain, 100%. And then jump and go ahead to the next narrator. Everybody clear on this? So, for example, once more, here is you, your father, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather. And then finally is the last person in the chain, who is the president or the leader or the king of the time of your great-great-grandfather who made this statement. So here you are. You narrate from someone. Jazakallahu khairan. This person that you're narrating from, let's say he's weak. Your father's weak. So you wouldn't get him out the chain of narration. Or not even your father. Let's say your grandfather. This one here. He's weak. So instead of you saying, report it to me, my father, from my grandfather, you take him out. But the problem with this is that your father had actually met and heard from your great-grandfather. So it seems as if the chain is, but in actuality it isn't. And the reason why you removed your father is because, let's say your father's weak, or he was totally unknown, he was a really bad or negative type of person. So you want your history to look what? Smooth. Taswiyah. Sawa. You make tadlis taswiyah. So it wouldn't be as bad if your father never met his what? Wouldn't be a problem. Or it wouldn't be as much of a problem. But now it's even more difficult and burdensome. Because these two links here have actually come into contact. So it seems as if it is muttasil. But in actuality, it's what? It's not. And it's tadlis. But of course, you never ever said haddathani akhbarani. You use the word an. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? If a person uses the term he reported, he said, he heard, then that's a problem. Because even though they met this specific hadith, they haven't met up. And this, your grandfather's what? Is here. This is you, father, grandfather. This isnad, these two links didn't meet. But before, they did meet with each other, but not in this one. And you only got this report with this intermediary. Everybody clear on this? Obviously, if we could write on the board and have markers, things would be far easier. Everybody clear on this or not so far? Clear? Even if it's just in the beginning. Everybody clear on this? Like Tadlis or Taswiyah, you have people in the chain. Letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. C doesn't belong, B doesn't go directly to D. What's missing is what? C. But I'm going to take out C because C is a bad letter. A weak narrator. I want my isnad to look good and clean. So I'm going to remove him by clipping him out. But the problem is that in another alphabet or another variation of the alphabet, B can be connected to D and not C. Once more, we didn't get it. You with me or not? Mm-hmm. C belongs between what?
C belongs between D and D.
So if C is missing, I say, hey, whoa, what is this? C is gone. But let's say we have another variation, like tomato and tomato. Another English alphabet in which it says, no, we don't need the letter C. So this one actually did meet that one. Mm-hmm. So it looks clean, but it's someone that's missing. Clear this? This is very, very subtle, very sneaky. Called tadlis or taswiyah, huh? طيب. Moving forward. And obviously, both of the people that you're trying to link up, they're both trustworthy. They're both thiqah. Mm-hmm. That's why it's called taswiyah. Sawa. Khalaqa. Fasawa. It's smooth, it's perfected. Everybody understand this? فَسَوَّاهُنَّ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ. Huh? It looks smooth. This person that's missing, your father and your great-grandfather, they're both trustworthy and they both met and came into contact. So the isnad to the naked, unexperienced eye looks 100% A-okay. But this weak person who is your grandfather, you took out. Everybody clear this or not? طيب. Then he says, وَالثَّانِي لَا يُسْقِطُهُ وَلَكِنْ يَصِفُ. You don't remove him, but you give him a name that he's unknown by. You give him a name that he's unknown by. Who knows this person by this name? Who knows this person by this name? A person mentions an description, an affiliation, a government name, a middle name, a kunya that no one knows whatsoever. Everybody understand this? That no one what? Everyone knows him by this name. And you attribute him to something to keep him hidden on the tuck, as we say. Such as, for example, what? Let's say me, for example, if someone said, this is who's the speaker that's coming to do the lecture? Huh? And this Marquez, he's a little scared, or he got some people there that don't want me to come. But they're going to like the lecture, but I can't tell them ahead of time. He says, Abu Mas'ud al-Madani is coming to speak. Abu Mas'ud al-Madani. طيب. Who knows me by that name? My son's name is Mas'ud. That's my kunya. And I lived in Medina for a long time. You live in a place for 4 years. They say you're from that place. Who's Abu Mas'ud Madani? Who is this guy? He's a graduate. Trust me, you're going to like him. Abu Mas'ud Madani. He made tadlis. He gave me a name or a title, which he didn't lie, for me to be unknown. Everybody understand this? If he said Muhammad ibn Munir, la, he's not coming here. Everybody understand this or not? Abu Mas'ud al-Madani is trying to paint it and disguise it. Nakiru laha arshaha. He said, disguise her throne. Nanzur atahtadi am... Aywa. Everybody clear this? It was her throne, but he's down, what? Disguise it. Everybody clear this? So this is when in which a person, he makes tadlis with regards to a person's name. He gives them a name or a title with which they are unknown in order to sell it and to allow it to, Everybody clear this or not? You call someone something that is actually their name. It's one of their titles or alias, however you want to word it, but the person is totally what? Unknown by that name. Everybody clear this or not? This is another type of tadlis. And obviously the most famous type of tadlis is the report from someone that you didn't hear their report from. This is the most famous type. And that is the example of the classroom. Mariama, she says, Sheikh Mufti said, such and such and such and such. But in this class, she wasn't there. She actually heard it from you, Hilal. But she, at the same time, has actually heard from in the past. She's directly has a chain with me. Everybody understand this? And she just removes you and says, Sheikh Mufti said. But she doesn't say, hadithani, reported to me, or related to me, or I heard from. If she did, then she would be lying. Khairan, inshallah. This is a crash course on tadlis. طيب. فضل.
Can you give the names of the two last forms of tadlis? The first one was...
Tadlis at-taswiyah.
What was the second one?
And then we have tadlis al-shuyukh. And then we have tadlis al-isnad.
Okay, and my other question is for the tadlis at-taswiyah. Say you're the person reporting, and then you want to skip your father, and you want to go straight to the grandfather. What if the great-grandfather also narrated to the grandfather and the father in the same sitting, but you know you don't want to take it, you don't want to use your father?
If you heard it directly, that's no problem. La mushkil.
So you have the choice to...
The first thing is that people aren't going to add an extra person in the chain unnecessarily. Then no one's going to do that because they want a shorter chain anyhow. So if he told both of us, there's no reason for me to mention my father. I'm equal with him. I'm his equal right now. We're both students of the grandfather. Clear? طيب. Line number 21. He says, وَمَا يُخَالِفْ ثِقَةٌ بِهِ الْمَلَى فَالشَّاذُ وَالْمَقْلُوبُ قِسْمَانِ تَلَى إبدال راو ما براو قسم وقلب إسناد لمتن قسم. Line 21 and 22. We now have the fourth condition, nasrah, of the hadith sahih. Intifa'u shududh. The hadith cannot be shadh. It cannot be shududh. It cannot have shududh. And he explains that by saying, excuse me. He says, وَمَا يُخَالِفْ ثِقَةٌ بِهِ الْمَلَى. When there is a thiqah, a narrator who's strong, who's acceptable, he's not a weak narrator, but he's normally an accepted, trustworthy narrator. But he now goes against a group, a mala. قَالَ الْمَلَأُ مِنْ قَوْمِهِ. The mala, the nobles, the group. A mala, naam. A good number of narrators report something, and this thiqah reports something, then this is called shadh. So, how many students we have here? 5 students. And an interesting fact, all of them on one side and one on another side. طيب, so now we're going to have metaphorically or literally and metaphorically mukhalafa here, right? You're shadha. You're against the jama'ah. You're like, I don't care, right? Allahu Akbar. That's clear as day. Like, I'll go by myself. Doesn't matter. So, everyone is sitting in the class, right? And then, let's say a curious question someone asked, what color shirt was he wearing? Mathalan, Sister Huda, Hilal, Maryama, and Nasrat all say he's wearing a blue shirt with white trim. A blue shirt with white trim. That's what we saw. The lighting was good, it was blue with white trim. And the Staha, she says, no, no, the shirt was turquoise, which is a shade of blue, but it's totally different than, let's say, royal blue. Methalan. Turquoise is very vivid, or is very contrast to royal blue or king blue. Huh?
Why does my side have to be wrong?
I never said that. Well, right now it has to be wrong because that's the example of the author.
But how can you ever know?
We want to get there. We want to get there. We want to get there. Right now, in the author's opinion, I'm saying yes, your side is going to be wrong, no question. So not even turquoise, because that's open for interpretation. He had on a green shirt. It was green. So the person takes the narrations, now you have here, all 5 of you, you have different students, and you tell the report to, and they put it in a book. So here we have the narration of Nistaha, who said he was wearing a green shirt. A green shirt. They read Nistaha's biography in Taqrib al-Tahdhib. Thiqah, inshallah, hopefully. She's a trustworthy narrator, inshallah. She has good memory. She studied with him, so on and so forth. Khalas. Sanad is muttasil. There's connection of the chain. She met him clearly. That's been documented. There's no doubt about that. She's Muslim, she's of age, she's Catholic, she's not a sinner, she's this and that, she has memory. Hadith sahih. Hadith what? Sahih. Just that simple. Until we gather the other reports and the other narrations, the other turuq, the other asanid, and we find out that majlis, that he has other students that he was teaching that day, and all of them have reported to their respective students he was wearing a blue shirt with white trim, leaving no room for green. Nistah said the shirt was green, not had green button, a green stamp, a green sticker. No, it was green, khalis. There's no way. The narration can't be harmonized. A blue shirt with white trim cannot be a green shirt. So we say here in this issue, her narration would normally be accepted, but now, and it's now what? Shadh, it's rejected. وما يخالف ثقة به الملا فالشاذ. طيب معلش. So the narration is now shadh, even though it would normally be what? Sahih. But due to the fact that you went again say? Then obviously there are details with regards to this. The long khilafat, detailed discussion, which we're not going to get into right now. This is the simple, basic way, the rudimentary ABC way of understanding what shadh is. And hadith sahih cannot be what? Shadh. All the conditions are there. It cannot go against a report of narrators which is larger, bigger, and stronger. Then obviously, as you said, what if I'm right and they're wrong? But they're not going to be a group of trustworthy ones. Some of them are going to have a poor memory or a bad memory. One
We're all strong.
different story. Or there are other issues, of course, and one may say no. It's in Nistaha she was studying with him the longest, the most. She had the closest contact with him. No doubt, she had the best attention span in the class. The shirt was green and it was wrong. Possible, but it's unlikely. 1 against 4, 1 against 5, 1 against 10 is what? It's improbable. But everybody understand this or not? Very highly unlikely, especially if they're all thiqat. if they're all thiqas, they're all trustworthy people, it just doesn't make sense. Khairan, inshallah. So that is simple explanation of hadith shadh. And hadith sahih cannot be shadh. Naam, fadl.
I have numerous shad hadith, or like there's a lot of times where even though I'm strong and have a good memory, I do like there's a lot of times where my other classmates say something that I didn't say. Do I get downgraded in a rank?
If you keep doing that without a question, you definitely get demoted. You get downgraded when you keep going against the jama'ah like that. One time,
What if they're always wrong and I was always right?
that's the thing. It has to be proven to be wrong. They have to be proven to be wrong.
So without a trial, I'm just demoted without ever knowing.
Tight. La, you get a trial. Yani, if you, shuf, you gotta look at it like this. First and foremost is, we have to look at, if you're that strong, you're not going to keep going against them. And if they're strong too, somebody has to be weaker. It's no way for you to be strong. All right, let's make an example. See, I don't want to open up this hornet's nest or shake it up. You want it to come out. Once they come out, they will stink. Huh?
You put in the wrong position, Chef. That's why.
I should have.
No, it's not that.
You switched
No
it.
doubt, no doubt. We wouldn't have had this issue.
The definition.
Crystal clear. Crystal clear, crystal clear.
My thing is, it's just
Sorry, all right, Az-Zuhri rahimahullah. Az-Zuhri ibn Shihab, the famous tabi'i. The ulama of hadith, they say his students are divided into 5 levels, 5 ranks. And the first row or the first rank of his students are those who have the strongest memory, al-thiqat al-huffaz al-kibar. And they're mulazimeen, those who stuck with him for some time. They studied with him, they traveled with him, they know his hadith. What are the chances of you being in the front row of my students, the foremost, and them being in the foremost row of my students, and you're always going against them? What are the chances of that? Your credentials are all what? Similar. The amount of time that you have in are all what? Similar. It's not going to happen once or twice, if that. Unless the ranks are different, in which you're stronger, but they have been with me longer. Or you've been with me longer, but they're... It has to be a reason like this. Once, twice, it happened in here and there, a mistake, ever, this and that. Maybe they're wrong, you're right, perhaps. But it's not going to keep happening for you to be demoted and downgraded. Unless there's something which is what? Your quality is not like theirs, or vice versa. So, of course, there's going to be a trial before someone is hanged. Inshallah. How long will that trial be? Allahu alam, but it will be some type of justice. Well, there is no number. There is no number because the true ilm al hadith is not based off of arithmetic. There's no 1 + 1. It's all based off of the لِكُلِّ حَدِيثٍ ذَوْقُهُ.
the ijtihad of the hadith scholar.
No question. There are principles that are theoretical, yes. There are usul, there are things. But every hadith is, it's like cooking. This is a general recipe, but I just feel like putting an extra pinch right now of coriander. A little more Himalayan salt, just a bit. But the recipe said it has to cook for 30 minutes. No, cut it off. That's good. Got it? Khairan, inshallah. Moving forward, he says, وَالْمَقْلُوبُ قِسْمَانِ تَلَى Hadith al-maqlub. Al-hadith al-maqlub. Al-hadith al-maqlub. Maqlub meaning inverted or flipped. He says 2 types, Maryam. Qismani tala. Yani yatlu. It's coming, following, 2 types. Number 1, ibdalu rawad ma'bi rawad qismu. He says here, Ibdalu rawin ma bi rawin. It's to switch one narrator with another narrator. Hada qism. إبدال راو ما يعني أي راو راو ما براو آخر هذا قسمه. Oh, huh? However you wish to explain it, but let's say, for example, to keep things simple, someone's name is, well, I mean, this is going to be obviously very problematic now, but we'll mention it anyhow. Someone says, Huda Ahmed. And then they flip it around and they make it what? Ahmed Huda. Now, that's obviously clearly a problem because one is a girl, one is a boy. However, the concept of taking someone's name and mistakenly what? Inverting it. It's messed up. Ka'b ibn Murrah, Murrah ibn Ka'b. Which goes to show a lack of what? Dabt, a lack of accuracy. A lack of hadith is da'if because it is missing which condition? A dabt. Accuracy and precision is no longer. Let alone the fact that what if Ahmed Huda is a great liar and Huda Ahmed is a trustworthy? That's a big problem. Or the person that Huda Ahmed is narrating from, Ahmed Huda never met or did meet. It's all messed up now. Everybody clear on this? When there's maqloob. And in most cases, people that do this by accident. Lack of accuracy. Then he says, وَقَلْبُ إِسْنَادٍ لِمَتْنٍ هَذَا قِسْمٌ آخَرُ. It's to take one hadith and then put on this hadith where, let's say, it's a bogus metin. The metin is bogus. Let's say the hadith that says, أَنَا مَدِينَةُ الْعِلْمِ وَعَلِيٌّ بَابُهَا. Hadith says, أَنَا مَدِينَةُ الْعِلْمِ. I am the city of knowledge, and the gate of this city is Ali. Tayyib, stay with me. This is an actual hadith. I am the city of knowledge. أَنَا مَدِينَةُ الْعِلْمِ وَعَلِيٌّ بَابُهَا. This is a hadith. They said the Prophet said this. So the hadith is originally reported with a chain of narration in which there's a liar, someone who's a fabricator, kadhab, rafidi, shi'i, khabith. But the liar is now smart and savvy. They have some cunning. Says no one is going to accept this. So I'm now going to take, let's say for example, Malik, Nafi, Ibn Umar, Qala Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. From the most authentic chains of narration now. Zuhri, Salim, Ibn Umar. From the most authentic chains of narration now, Ana Madinatul Ilm wa Aliyun Babuha. So someone who's unaware or lacks that sharpness, that skill is going to say, oh, it's authentic hadith. But it's the actual type of fabrication. It's to take one chain, it's like a Lego piece. You know how you mix the Lego pieces up? You can put this head and make this one look like this and like that. Everybody clear on this? It's called tarkibul asanid. It doesn't belong there. So it makes this metin look like it has a clean chain of narration. And we said the unaware, unsuspecting, nonchalant person is just going to say, oh, sahih. No question.
So this is like a sort of khiyana.
Huh?
It's like khiyana.
No question. Fabrication. It's a lie. But it's only picked up and recognized by what? Vigilant hadith scholar.
Would it be in a book?
Of course.
Like,
No question. Many books have these types of hadiths.
no, I mean like the liar. How would he pass on that chain? Wouldn't it make it inauthentic because he's the liar?
Say that again?
Wouldn't he be at the end of the chain?
Not necessarily.
So how would he give it to somebody?
He can make it up, pass it on to someone else. Or just lie about the whole entire thing. Lie about himself, about his name.
Oh,
Or he may be in the chain, but it's too late. He's later on. It's already been established. Yakfi, Malik reported it.
but it's coming from him.
It doesn't have to, but shuf, look at it like this. If you have someone in the 6th century or the 5th century making up a hadith, right?
Yeah.
The hadith doesn't need to, the sanad doesn't need to go all the way to the what? 6th century. It's already in circulation by the 3rd century. Malik's time, Bukhari's time. So let's say, for example, Ibn al-Jawzi, who died in the 6th century, 596, 597. In his book, he has hadith in which he reports with his what? isnads. In actuality, there's no point of what?
Doing that.
Because the hadith is already in the Asr al-Riwayah. It's in circulation way before Ibn al-Jawzi's time. Clear? Clear or not?
Switches the chain.
No, he totally puts a new chain on it. Or even if it's not in the book. Let's say that it's not in the book. However it is, he makes up a chain like a Lego piece. That piece doesn't go there. It doesn't go there at all.
But it looks like it goes there.
To an unsuspecting eye. A pocket watch. Someone says these hands aren't original. These weren't the original hands on the watch. How do you know that? The color, this, that, or have skill. I've known this type of pocket watch doesn't have blue steel hands. These hands are different, so on and so forth.
So in the age of oral transmission, they would just say,
Or written down. However, al-muhim, the hadith is widespread now. Whether he's at the chain, they know him or not, etc. Whatever the detail is, that's what it is. Is you take on a hadith and you mix and you match it like a Lego piece. This is the body of Batman, and this is the head of Bane. Clear this or not? Well, they have that. We got this or not? So that chain right there is clean. It's a totally authentic chain, but that metin is made up. The Prophet never said those words. How do ulama of hadith know this? From several ways. One of them is they had memorized the hadith of the narrators. They knew all the hadith of Zuhri. They knew the hadith of Abu Ubaidah. They knew the hadith of Abid as-Salmani. They knew the hadith of this one and that one, so on and so forth. Clear on this? Listen, brief, we don't want to go too far off because we definitely want to stick and try to finish. Khairan, inshallah. No more questions. No more questions. We will have no time. If we study the book, in which we have 5 classes, 6 classes, total different story. Sit, talk, discuss, write, examples. This condensed crunch mode will never finish like this. We'll never what? We'll never finish like this, guys. We'll never finish like this. And we're already behind, extremely. Malish. Tayyip, moving forward. We all know the famous story of Imam al-Bukhari when they did this. They mixed up the chains with the hadiths. They tested them out. They gave him 100 hadiths that were mixed and matched. The most amazing thing was not that he didn't fall for the trick, but the fact that he memorized the mistake from the get-go on the spot. That's the amazing thing. He memorized the khata and then spit it back to them and then told them what's correct. طيب, moving forward. وَالْفَرْدُ مَا قَيَّتَهُ بِثِقَتِي وَأَوْ جَمْعٍ أَوْ قَصْرٍ عَلَى رِوَايَتِي. The next one is called al-hadith al-fard. Hadith al-fard, which is very similar and oftentimes synonymous to al-hadith al-gharib. Al-fard and al-gharib, oftentimes they mean the same thing. Sometimes they're different, sometimes they're the same. What's important is it's either going to be absolute or it's going to be restricted. It's an absolute fard hadith or it's restricted to a people of a country. No one has narrated this hadith except for the people of Basra. No one has narrated this hadith except for the Meccans. No one narrated this hadith except for Ahl al-Sham. وَهَكَذَا. Or the people of this household. He says, وَالْفَرْدُ مَا قَيَّدْتَهُ بِثِقَتِي أَوْ جَمْعٍ أَوْ قَصْرٍ عَلَى رِوَايَتِي. It's absolutely gharib, 1, or a specific people are the only ones who narrated this narration. It's called hadith fard, which could be authentic and could not be authentic. Hadith fard mutlaq. طيب, خير inshallah. Moving forward. وما بعلة غموض أو خفاء معلل عندهم قد عرفا معلل عندهم قد عرفا. The fifth and final condition of a hadith sahih is that it cannot have that which is called illa. It cannot be mu'allal. Line 24 says, وَمَا بِعِلَّةٍ غُمُوذٍ. When something is hidden, ghamid or khafi, It's called, to them, عندهم, to them, the scholars of hadith, it's called mu'allalun. And it's something which is well known. So, your laptop, to me, looks fine. The light is on, the apple is lighting up, it looks nice and clean. I want to buy it. Can I buy it from you? How much will you sell me your laptop for?
Not more than $50.
$50. No more examples. Kalas. We're not done with you for examples. Tayyib, this iPad here, would you like to buy it? It's an iPad Pro.
How much are you selling it for?
I sell it to you maybe, I had it for a couple of months. It's pretty mint condition. I want to sell it to you for, I don't know, $750.
What's the retail price?
Well, I mean, it's older now, but when it came out, I don't know what, maybe,
Almost 1,000.
More than that.
yeah, like
$1,200?
1,200, something like that, roughly. So I'll sell it to you for $800 now. It works. Look, I'm reading the book. Everything's fine. You can swipe on it. You can play on it, whatever you like. It doesn't matter. All right? Check it out. Look at it. Look through it. You know, it's good. Which it is in general. It looks good. It feels good. But then Maryam, when she comes and says, wait, what's this on the side? And something wrong with the iOS. You have something wrong with the screen and this. This is a glitch when you download something. A skilled hand, a skilled eye with experience, and most importantly, with knowledge of the Apple products. I've dealt with 100 iPad Pros. I've sold them, I've fixed them, I've played around with them, I've dropped them on the floor, I'll put them back together. Something is wrong with this one. But to the naked eye, it seems as if it's good, but something is what? And that is an illah. That is a what? That is a what? An illah. So in hadith science, anything could be an illah. For example, any narration that you get from me in Canada, if you report from me, says, Sheikh Mufti told us in Toronto, kada wa kada wa kada. From Sheikh Abdul Muslim al-Abad in Medina. So says, it's hadith sahih. It's an authentic report. They heard from him. They're his students. They met him. So on and so forth. Say, no. For some reason, Allahu alam why, but whenever he comes to Toronto, he starts to say things which are incorrect. Something's wrong. I make mistakes. I have jet lag. I'm sick. I'm tired. Homesick. Frustrated from the airport. Whatever the case may be. Something causes me to come here and be what? Inaccurate. But when you do class on the phone, then it's what? A-okay. So this is the normal conditions of hadith sahih nasra will be applied. It will be applied or not. But there's something that's a hidden glitch. Something's wrong. For some reason or another, when I come here, I start to do things or say things which are wrong. How do you know this? Unless someone who has a detailed amount of knowledge of your lives, my lives, of the travel, of everything. Every time Muhammad Munir came to Canada, this happened to him in the airport. He was tired. He was sick. He was this. Every single time. Every single report that we took from the sisters from him didn't add up. It wasn't consistent. A great deal of knowledge and skill has to be involved with regards to this meaning, like the iPad. But to the normal person, it seems what? Fine. Everybody clear on this? Photo.
Text and chain or just
Both.
So if it has like a seemingly connected chain?
But in actuality, it's munqati'.
No, not from munqati', but like you said, can maqlub be a form of...
Well, maqlub is illa. Shadh is included in illa. Tadlis is a type of illa because it's hidden. And it only becomes apparent through investigating everything. This is what Muhammad ibn Munir said in the masjid, and this is what he said to the sisters. Something ain't right. It's inconsistent. Everybody clear on this? وهكذا. That's in brief. That's what? باختصار شديد. You can study, you can spend your whole life just studying this, and it wouldn't be a what? Wouldn't be a wasted life. Just on al-illa and al-hadith al-mu'allala. As we've mentioned in the audio, there's the ashraf anwa' ulum al-hadith. Tayyib. I don't think you remember, but it's okay. Let's move forward. Line 25. وذو اختلاف سند أو متن مضطرب عند أهيل الفن. Line 25 is الحديث المضطرب. الحديث المضطرب. الحديث المضطرب. He says, وذو اختلاف. Whenever there's a hadith and the sanad or the metin in which there is ikhtilaf, discrepancies, then عند أهيل الفن يعني أهل الفن is called مضطرب. مضطرب is basically similar to a shadh report but different. My favorite color to wear is blue. Nasr narrates from me. You report that to your students. You put it in your book. Then Hilal says, my favorite color to wear is white. Then Maryama, she reports, I have no favorite color. Hilal says, my favorite color is purple. And Nistah says, my favorite color is lime green to wear. All of these views are what? Lime green, huh? They're conflicting. They're what? Everybody, who you with me or not? Everybody with me 100% or not? Tayyib, ma'alish, I'm sorry the examples. This is how they come, huh? Everyone with me or not? So obviously someone, the first thing that the onlooker is going to do is what? Maryam, this question is only for Maryam. What's the first thing the onlooker is going to do? Recognize the contradiction. After that. Think hard. Who can report? Who can repeat the examples that I just mentioned?
You said that she's wearing lime green.
Nope. Subhanallah. How the hadith becomes da'if so quick. No one said anything about Nasra wearing anything.
And also your favorite color is white?
Nope.
My
Nah.
favorite color was white.
No.
Your favorite color is white. Yes, you did.
No. You can't be wrong and strong. The first reporter was who?
Nasra. And she said that your favorite
Nasra,
color is blue.
Nahilal.
Okay, and your favorite color was blue.
No.
Yes.
Nah, subhanallah. We never said my favorite color is blue.
Navy blue.
Nope. What do we say?
Her favorite color?
No.
But she thinks your favorite color.
My favorite color to wear.
To wear is blue.
يختلف. It's not the same. You see now, Nasra? It's not the what? It's not the same. I can have a favorite color. It means my favorite color to wear.
That's what said your favorite color to wear is blue.
Okay.
Huda said your favorite color to wear. Did we add her?
I know mine is white.
Hilal said your favorite color to wear is white. Maryam said you don't have a favorite color to wear. You went back to Hilal. She said your favorite color.
What about you?
My favorite, lime green.
Lime green.
You said, okay. Oh, tight. So what about Huda? What color did she say?
She never said color.
She never said that.
She never narrated for me?
She wasn't, you didn't mention.
That don't make...
You just took her out.
I didn't mention... You sure?
I don't remember.
I'm sure.
You see how it works now? And this is in one room. Huh? Something so simple can what?
Get difficult.
Tayyib. So what's the first thing that the onlooker is going to do, Maryam? After looking at the clear conflict and contradiction?
If they've met.
No.
That we're all the same team.
They're going to look towards who's stronger, who's shadh, who's making a mistake. But the problem with Muttarib is that everyone in this room is on the same level. And they all heard the same thing from me in the same time, which proves that the error is originally from me. I'm Muttarib.
So you made me look like.
La Allah. No, you know you have a video game and you get beat up and you see little birdies. The Street Fighter. Yes or no? You know what I'm talking about? You get hit with too many punches and what? No, not knocked out. You get birdies and you're standing up. And they can do anything to you while you're standing up. Right or wrong? That's Muttarib. in which your head is shaking. Darab is, you're mentally shaken up. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Akhi, what is your favorite color, Akhi? Is it to wear? You give me a weak narration. Is it blue? Is it purple? Is it lime green? Is it white? Get your story straight. The khata is from the who now? The sheikh. The shadh hadith, the khata is from one of the students. How do we know that? Because it's one against? Hypothetically, of course. Here, all the narrations are mutasawiya. They're equal. All of them have the same strength, same caliber, same grade. They were all there. They were all paying attention. They reported what they heard from you, and you're the one who is
Wouldn't you have to
not shadh. Yeah, Allah.
Wouldn't you have to have told us that at different times? Because you can't say my favorite.
No. It's possible.
So you say Malaga one or a sprinkle of the
That would mean that you have to be intoxicated.
Allahu alam. That's not your concern. Was the sheikh drunk for breakfast? That's not Allahu alam. What was in his canister is not what? Allahu alam. You report it from me. That's the bottom line. You want to learn a hadith or you want to advise me about drinking? Right or wrong? You don't know what I'm drinking or what the sheikh is drinking. So, correct or incorrect? You don't know. That's not your job. Your job is to take the narration. You with me, guys, or not? Everybody with me? Or even if it was different majlis. It was a different time. Okay, if you say I told you different times. How many favorite colors do you have to wear? So my accuracy is what? Off.
Wouldn't it be more minute details of the hadith? That's more better?
No, it could be the whole entire hadith itself. Or it could be any isnad. The names that you reported. Fulan ibn Fulan, Abu Fulan. And here you just said Abu Fulan. And this one you said this is grandfather. And now he's Mekki. And now he's Madani. Now he has ittirab. Am I clear on this or not? Obviously, muttarib is going to be a type of. And it's also going to be included in illa. Because it can't be clear until the things are collected and gathered. Type. And the data is analyzed. This is in brief. This is what? In brief. Rushing it, jamming it, crunching it. We don't have no board, no projector, no examples. It's not going to be 100%. So this is just more of just like an orientation to the book, huh? Type.
It would like a summarized definition be when a muttalib means in a narration contradicts itself, but the other narration is the same instance.
As hadith that's reported in several different ways, which are conflicting, in which there's no way of determining which is stronger or harmonizing. No question, because you have birdies flying around your head. You get it or not? You sure? My favorite color to wear is blue. And my favorite color to wear is white on Jumu'ah, blue on Saturday. I didn't mean it like that. That's one thing. But that has to be scientifically proven. And not just that the sheikh was what? A little bit that morning. Tayyib? Khairan inshallah. Moving forward. وَالْمُدْرَجَاتُ فِي الْحَدِيثِ مَا أَتَتْ. Can we close the door, please? مِنْ بَعْضِ أَلْفَاظِ الرُّوَاةِ اتصلت. He then says, وَالْمُدْرَجَاتُ فِي الْحَدِيثِ مَا أَتَتْ. من بعض ألفاظ الرواة اتصلت. The next one is called Al-Hadith Al-Mudraj. Al-Hadith Al-Mudraj. Al-Hadith Al-Mudraj. They say interpolated. It's a hadith in which it has a part which doesn't belong. In the isnad or the matan. Putting someone who doesn't belong there. Putting someone who doesn't belong there. Or most importantly, especially in the beginning, is the matan. It says, لِلْعَبْدِ الْمَمْلُوكِ أَجْرَانِ. That the slave has two rewards. Has double reward. Now, والذي نفسي بيده لولا الجهاد في سبيل الله والحج وبر أمي لأحببت أن أكون أنا أموت وأنا مملوك. And I swear by the one whose soul my hand lies, if it wasn't for fighting in Allah's cause and making hajj and good treatment of my mother, I would be fond of dying as a slave. Bismillah. Jazakallah khairan. Tayyib. I would be fond of being a slave and dying as a slave. So something's wrong here. There's a part of this hadith which is called mudraj. It's been added to the Prophet's words accidentally, mistakenly. أسبغ الوضوء ويل للعقاب من النار. Hadith says the slave has a double reward. Muslim slave will receive a what? A double reward from his upholding his responsibility with Allah and his responsibility with the one who owns him. And the one in whose hand my soul lies, if it wasn't for this and if it wasn't for that, I would love to die as a slave. So this last part of the hadith is not the speech of the Prophet ﷺ. Rather, it's mudraj. It's been added and attached to the speech of the Prophet ﷺ. Let's make an easier, simple example. I'm translating a fatwa during class. And then I give my explanation of the translation of the fatwa. My interpretation of it, my further faida of it. But it was clear, but the way you heard it or how you listened to it, you passed it on and you said such and such, the sheikh said such and such and such and such. But the period is supposed to be what? Here. And the rest of the speech is what? My speech. So how you heard it, you passed it on to someone, you copied it, you texted to someone, WhatsApp someone, tweeted someone, as this is what Sheikh Min Baz said. And the rest of that speech is mudraj. But you didn't do it intentionally. It wasn't evil. It just happened by accident. This was my explanation, my interpretation. Or in the middle of the words, in the middle of the sentence, the Sheikh says that the paint on the wall is beige, and beige, as you all know, is a lighter shade of brown, and you can't make tayammum from this wall. So beige, as you all know, is a lighter shade of brown, is whose speech? My speech. It's in the middle, not at the end. Or it can be in the beginning. And I said that speech for the purpose of clarification. I said the speech at the end for the purpose of deducing the ruling, further faida, whatever the reason is, and that's called what? Mudraj. How do we know it's mudraj? Through gathering the different reports. And also looking at the speech. The Prophet would never want to be a slave. How could Allah give him prophecy and then him saying, I want to be a slave and I wish to die a slave? Let alone my mother. His mother had died when he was? Moving forward.
So who would be wrong? Me or you?
Which it depends on who made it. Who's the reason? Or they may not even specify who made the mistake. Al-Muhim is that it's not from the Kalam al-Nabi. طيب وما روى كل قرين عن أخي مدمج فأعرفه حقا وانتخه. The next type of hadith is called al-hadith al-mudabbaj. Al-hadith al-mudabbaj. Al-hadith al-mudabbaj. Mudabbaj is this. This debadger to the wedge. My cheekbones on my face. Naam. They're similar. One is not like this. Similar. Size, color, texture, contour, similar. So it basically means is that when two classmates narrate from each other. Two classmates narrate from each other. You have similar age, similar teachers. You now what? You learn from her, she learns from you. You report from her, and she reports from you. Just like similar. So this is also a novelty and a specialty. And it also goes to show you that it's nothing wrong with it or a mistake. Abu Hurairah narrated from Aisha, Aisha narrated from, and Abu Hurairah and Aisha, they both narrated from. وهكذا. طيب. Moving forward. متفق لفظا مخطا متفق وضده فيما ذكرنا المفترق. مؤتلف متفق الخط فقط وضده مختلف فخش الغلط. Number 28. متفق لفظا وخطا متفق. We now have that which is called المتفق والمفترق. المتفق والمفترق. Narrators who have the same names, and the father's names are the same, but they're different people. They're different what? Like John Smith. How many people with that name? I don't know about Canada, but in America, what's a popular name in Canada?
Lee.
Huh?
Lee.
Lee. Okay, but we need the first name and the last name.
Michael Newen.
Michael
Newen.
Newen.
With the NYU.
NGU, yeah. It's every Vietnamese person's name.
No, Lee Yuen too.
Okay. So how many people are there with that name, but they're different people? One person narrates, he's trustworthy. Another person narrates, he's a kadhab, or he's weak memory. We need to be able to distinguish and differentiate between them for the purpose of keeping it precise, whose narration is right, whose narration is wrong, whose narration is accepted, etc. Muttafiq and muftariq. Everybody clear on this? Moving forward. Al-Muttafiq and Al-Muftariq. That's what it's called, the science. Line number 29. He says Mu'talifun. Now we have Al-Mu'talif wal-Mukhtalif. First one is Al-Muttafiq wal-Muftariq. And then we have Al-Mu'talif wal-Mukhtalif. For them to be written the same way, but pronounced differently. Written the same way, but pronounced what? Differently. Written the same way, but pronounced differently. Such as salam and salam.
Can this also be when like they didn't use muhtas?
Bashar, Yasar, وهكذا, which goes to show you how precise the scholars of Hadith were and how futuristic they were, ahead of their time. Fingerprints, Dewey Decimal System, eye recognition, face recognition, passwords, date of birth, all of that stuff. Now, moving forward. والمنكر الفرد به راو غدا تعديله لا يحمل التفردا. Next is Al-Hadith al-Munkar. Al-Hadith al-Munkar. Al-Hadith al-Munkar. Al-hadith al-munkar, the word munkar linguistically means rejected. Or not even that, means unknown. Qawmun munkarun. He said to the angels, they are what?
People unknown.
The author's definition is al-fardu bihi rawin ghada ta'dilu la yahmilu tafarruda. He says it's a narrator who is the only one who reports something. Yatafarrada, he's the one who reports something, and he's someone who isn't strong enough. Meaning he has a problem with his religion, a serious problem with his dabt. He isn't qualified to be the only one who narrates this. It's no way that this narrator of this caliber can be the only one that's saying this. They say you're not built like that. Why are you the only one saying this? Of all the narrators, you're the only one who's saying this. And you are the lowest and the poorest of the students. Everybody clear on this or not? This definition and the definition of munkar, according to the ulama of hadith, very, very, very long discussion. Is this the correct view, the strongest view? That's not important right now. As beginners studying the book, this is his definition. Moving forward, he says, مَتْرُكُهُ مَا وَاحِدٌ بِهِ انْفَرَدْ وَأَجْمَعُ لِضَعْفِهِ فَهُوَ كَرَدْ. Line number 31. Is al-hadith al-matruk. Al-hadith al-matruk. Al-hadith al-matruk. Al-hadith al-matruk. He says here, is a narrator similar to munkar. Someone who's very weak, but even weaker, and which the people unanimously agree upon him being extremely weak, is the only one who reports a hadith as well. He's a sole report of an extremely weak narrator. A sole report of a what? Extremely weak narrator. What's the difference between this and munkar? Munkar is not necessarily extremely weak, but it's someone who isn't strong enough. The word matruk means abandoned, forsaken. And there are other meanings of the word and usages of the word matruk as well. A narrator who's matruk, he's been abandoned. Moving forward. والكذب المختلق الموضوع على النبي فذلك الموضوع. And whenever there's an intentional lie on the Prophet ﷺ, it's been invented, it's spurious, then that is called al-mawdu'. Al-hadith al-mawdu'. Al-hadith al-mawdu'. Mawdu' obviously meaning something which is low and base. Something that's made up. Hypothetically speaking, is a hadith in the chain of narration in which there is a liar, a kadhab, a man or woman who's been proven to be a hadith maker-upper, regardless of the reason why they wanted to make up the hadiths. For money, for wealth, political reasons, theological battles, religious factions, hating of a race or a people or a sex or a tribe or a clan or a family. To destroy Islam, they were heretics and zindiqs. Nah? My father was slain on the battlefield by the Muslims. They took my mother into bondage, and me into bondage. So I made it my soul, I swore to destroy Islam. طيب. Excuse me. Now, when there's a lie that's been made up, it's called al-mawdu'. We know it's mawdu', whether it's someone who's in the chain who's a liar, as we just said, as the beginner starting off. And also, very important is to look at the actual metin itself. It doesn't make any sense. And not a theory, but something which is solid sense, solid common sense. It's just going against historical facts. It's just something which goes against the basic fundamentals of the deen, of the religion. The Prophet could say this. Huh? Everybody clear on this? وَهَكَذَا. And that's a whole science in itself. The wording of the hadith is very poor. Prophet never spoke like this. His words were concise, right to the point, eloquent, sharp. Prophet never spoke like this. The hadith is 4 pages long. Something's clearly wrong. Or this wonderful, marvelous, magnificent, majestic reward from this one small, simple act. وَهَكَذَا. وَهَكَذَا. We don't have the time to explain all of these other points with regards to al-hadith al-mawdu'. Moving forward. Line 33 and 34, he says, وَقَدْ أَتَتْ كَالْجَوْهَرِ الْمَكْنُونِ سَمَيْتُهَا مَنْذُومَةَ الْبَيْقُونِ فوق 30 بأربع أتت أقسامها تمت بخير ختمت. And it says, alhamdulillah, the book has come out like a jewel or a gem, jade. And it's 34 lines, and alhamdulillah that is finished. Rough translation of the end of the poem. So that's the end of the book, alhamdulillah. My advice is that you can't learn it and get it and master it like this. You can only take this quick, simple, rushed class, and you have to go back to the other recordings that we did on the book, in which we had more time, and the other lessons on hadith, and open up Sahih Bukhari, and just read it for an hour out of the day. And you'll find a mubham. Read Sunan Abi Dawood, and you'll see haddathana, and then you'll also see in Sahih Bukhari, you'll see you'll see Abu Dawood saying, or Tirmidhi saying he didn't hear from him, or so on and so forth. Munqati', illa, shadh. You'll find all of these things, Bidnillahi ta'ala. Excuse me. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. What's important is that you gotta practice. You gotta what? Gotta practice. You gotta give yourself assignments, hadith researches, or papers, essays, research papers, takhrij. You have to do these things. Bidnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hopefully in the near future we'll have some workshops and some classes on that if that's what you desire. Bidnillahi ta'ala. And Allah knows best. Wa sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.